up. I don't know how internet connection is going to be. Hopefully, we don't have any issues with internet or hearing it. But Jerome Powell is going to speak at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, which is coming up in, I don't know, 2 minutes. Um, had a brief moment to look over what's coming. That was already written, so there was no surprise there. Mortgage, like, yeah, back securities as of like this second, down 25 basis points on the day. And I think it's because of the dots and the thoughts of the Fed. We're going to hear more about the thoughts from the Fed because we're going to listen to Jerome Powell live. I'll give some commentary on it and pause it here and there to kind of just talk about it. But their dots, their target rate, the terminal rate, what should they call it? 5.1%. 5.1% would mean that they've got another 75 basis points in hikes. I was under the impression or thought that we're going to see something more along the lines of 25 basis points in February, and one more 25, but having the Fed kind of back off of rate hikes. So we're going to see, based on what Jerome Powell says, the market is going to react. That's this live screen. I'll give my 2 cents into what the market's doing. And I've got up on another screen, now we're only down 19 basis points on the day where we were down 25 basis points a minute ago, right? Based on some of the words that Jerome Powell uses, the market is going to move. So it's going to be really interesting. Good afternoon, Kevin Hawthorne. Good to see you here, brother. Hello from Los Angeles, Jeanette. I'll talk about interest rates next year. I'll talk about first-time home mortgage loans. All these questions you want to answer, Jeanette, I promise, after we hear Jay Powell speak, I'm going to have better insight into what I think is going to go on with interest rates in 2023 based on what Jay Powell says, because it's going to be important what he says for the future of interest rates. Here comes Jay Powell. What's up? See what he has to say. Based on the dot plots and stuff, I think he's going to, not give me what I wanted, which was like, hey, look, inflation's on its way down. We're doing our thing. Could be not as great as I anticipated, and we'll see how mortgage rates react to that. Like we're gonna see some volatility over the next half an hour. He's talking for sure. Let's go, Jay Powell. We waiting on you, bro. He calling sick? There he is. Let me know how you guys can hear this, if the sound's okay. My mic is close to my laptop as I can get it. I don't think markets like that latest comment where he was like basically saying like we're going to stay at this longer. 45 basis points down on the day is the current update. Woo! Lags, bro. Give it some time, dog. It's good. Now some questions. Now we get some good stuff. After these questions, I'm going to talk about some of the data. 25 for sure. 25. I'll answer that for him. Persistent moves, he said. Persistent, small, and persistent. All right. I think that playing this is causing some of the internet delay, so I'm actually going to turn that off. If you guys want to watch that, you can always go onto YouTube and find Jerome Powell Q&A, FOMC meeting, whatever you got to look up to find him. I think I'd rather provide some context, my thoughts, what he's saying. Like he said, and to put it in layman's terms, a bunch of Fed funds movement to get the Fed funds rate up to the 4.25 to 4.5 range. It was 0 to a quarter, right? Like literally the Fed funds rate, the rate at which the banks lend to each other was 0, right? We had 0 interest rates. I remember when there was all the fuss about that. Clients calling me, can I get a 0% interest rate? Didn't really work that way. But with the Fed funds rate that low, we saw 2.5 to 3% 30-year fixed rate mortgages. Moving the Fed funds rate up That has caused mortgage rates to increase, along with, home equity lines of credit and credit cards and car loans, everything, right? It's just more expensive to borrow money no matter where you're at. And so, to keep it simple on like what to expect, I think the important things that will come out of today's meeting, one of them being this number right here, this 5.1%, which when they call it their, they call it, they got a name for it. Basically, that's where they think that they're going to move the Fed funds rate to. They don't call it target rate. They call it the, it's not coming to me offhand, so I'm not going to fumble too much more. But this is higher than I expected. This would mean another, 75 basis point in rate hikes. And I thought that we might get 25 basis points in February, then be able to take off, foot off the gas, not continue the restrictive stance that they're taking. What Jerome Powell is saying today, yeah, we got a couple inflation numbers that came in good. We recognize that. Our work's not done. Sustained employment and inflation at 2%. That's our mandate. That's what we're working towards. He recognized that it lags, and then we're not going to see all the effects of this 425 basis points in rate hikes immediately. But he's also not going to take his foot off the gas and then just wait for it to happen over the next 12 months. It's going to continue to be restrictive, which means raising the Fed funds rate. And, he talked about this summary of economic projections, and of 19 surveyed, I'll show you exactly the chart he's referring to. 17 of them have the projection above 5% for this target range for the Fed funds rate, right? 2 of the 19 said sub 5%. Then a bunch of them said right here at like 5.1. Looks like 5 of them at 5.375 or whatever this is. And then this is, call it 5.625, a couple people. So pretty unanimous. They think they need to keep hiking up the Fed funds rate, and mortgage rates will follow. So going back, happy to, provide my 2 cents, Jeanette. Let us know your thoughts about interest rates next year. I still think that mortgage interest rates will come down over time because a lot of this is already baked in. We already know that the Fed's tightening. The Fed talks about continuing to tighten. Look at what, the projections are for the future, albeit, 23, 24, 25, 26. This is a little ways out, right? Like nobody wants to hear, oh, wait until 2026. You can probably get a 4% mortgage rate. Like nobody necessarily wants to wait that long. But I think as inflation numbers continue to come in and lower, and we see inflation closer and closer to the Fed's target rate of 2%, they'll be able to back down from this 5% Fed funds rate, right? And they project it here, 4.131. What's likely going to happen, and I saw somebody cover this in detail. Once you get to the terminal rate, that's the word they use, terminal rate, where it's like the top of where they're going to take the Fed funds rate. And let's say that they do 3 meetings of quarter basis point rate hikes, and this Fed funds rate lands in that 5 to 5.25 terminal rate. That's the top of it. It doesn't mean they auto U-turn and start cutting interest rates. They'll probably leave it there for anywhere from 8 to 12 months. The average, when you look back on history, is 11 months. So it's going to stay put for most of 2023, probably into 24. Then 24 is where you would see some rate cuts, right? And that's why this says 4.1 and this says 3.1. So if I were to answer your question about what will interest rates do next year, I think that we probably tread water now based on this meeting for the next 2 months at our current levels, between 5.75 and 6.25 on a 30-year fixed for an average. Today, like real-time update, we're up 27 basis points on the day. If you go to the 30-year average across the U.S., with a site like Mortgage News Daily, I'm thinking they're like 6.3-ish, right? They're 6.28. Is that what it is? 6.33 today, right? That's going to hover in that same range, somewhere between 6.25 and 6.5. Better or worse, depending on loan size, credit score, where you're at in the country, whether or not you're working with a broker, all those other factors. But I wouldn't expect rates to move very much in either direction for, I want to say the foreseeable future, but maybe call it 30 to 60 days, barring any big news, right? Like we're going to get December's inflation reading in January. If it's fallen off of a cliff and inflation is down to 5%, of course that's going to affect interest rates. If inflation's gone the other way and it's increasing, of course it's going to negatively affect interest rates. But barring any big news, like rates should be relatively stable over the next 30 to 60 days. And your follow-up question, Jeanette, I want to get to it because I appreciate it. First-time home buyer loans. There's a lot of stuff going on with removing loan level price adjustments for low to moderate income borrowers. So if you're a first-time buyer, you're low to moderate income, you're going to have access to the cheapest loans out there. I realize, I think you said you're down in Southern California. With those low to moderate income buyers, you can't buy a lot in Los Angeles. So if you don't fall into that bucket, you're just a first-time home buyer. There's plenty of programs out there. There's down payment assistance programs. There's 3% down conventional. And the same rules still apply where if you've got a stable job, good credit, and some money to put down, you're going to get into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. There's not a lot tied to first-time home buyers that is like grant money or what do you call it? A true gift. I know I've got some down payment assistance programs that are a true grant. You take a higher interest rate, you pay some fees, so it's still not necessarily completely no strings attached free money, but there's some likelihood that some more stuff comes out for first time home buyers. Just be aware that like the best thing for a first time home buyer is a really solid 30-year fixed rate mortgage that exactly what your payment is, and it's something that you can afford and that fits into your budget, right? No fancy stuff that's gonna be adjustable or get you into a home with $9 out of pocket, even if you can barely afford the payment. Like you don't hope for that stuff. So anyhow, hopefully this was helpful. I got to run. I just wanted to be on there live, listen to Jerome Powell. I know some of it's kind of dry, but we'll see how whatever he's saying now. We're only down 6 basis points on the day, so rates are flat, right? Like rates relatively unchanged for all intents and purposes is what we're seeing after like some really great inflation data. And then the 50 basis point rate hike, like as much as we thought this week was going to be volatile, it turned out to not be so volatile. Stephanie, let me get to your question real quick. I appreciate you joining. Currently building new construction, locked in at 7.1 right now. 0.5 added for a long-term rate lock. Any hope for high 5 rates by the time we close in early April on a 30-year fix? Sure. 7.1 is the very top of your range. I don't know credit score, down payment, and all that stuff. But for sure, whether it's with us or anybody else, get a second opinion on that, because my hope is you didn't pay an upfront charge for that extended rate lock, because 7.1, not a good looking loan unless there's some things I don't know, low down payment, low credit score, something like that. But feel free to reach out to us. It's really easy no matter where you're at in the country. Just go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the form, let us know where you're at and how we can help. And then, hopefully you're able to get into something depending on how much you're buying. If you can get something high fives, low sixes, a full percent on hundreds of thousands of dollars is a lot of savings. So best of luck to you. Hope to hear from you soon. Again, really easy. Greatmortgagebroker.com. Thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, we gonna see.